and welcome on in, everybody, to another edition of the WyoNation.com Roundup. I am your host, Chad Smith, and today I am joined by the founder of WyoNation.com, Mr. Brad Reed.
It seems awfully formal for tonight, but I'll take it.
Well, are you not the founder?
That's true, yes.
It's true. You did found it. And if you didn't have that crazy idea, which was how many years ago? Now, it's been a while.
Started in August of 2007. So we're coming up on, 23 years?
Yeah.
Is that right? Did I do my math right?
25 to 807. Yeah, about 18 years.
18 years, yeah.
Yeah, 18. It's a long time.
It is. Just a random drive-by at the Grizzly tailgate one day.
Yeah, and maybe closer to the anniversary, we'll talk more about that. So welcome on in, everybody. Lots to talk about. And before we get going further, please do the best experience, because we don't know what's going on with Twitter, is with YouTube. So head on over to YouTube. At WyoNation is the handle there. And you can see us live and you can participate in the chat if you have any questions. But there is lots to talk about. Brad, it's been a while since we've talked, you and I. And the last show we did was the interview with University of Wyoming incoming freshman Neil Summers. Did you get a chance to catch that?
Yeah, I caught the Neil Summers interview. A man of few words, but I think it's going to be really good for Laramie and, the university to have, a local kid come in and compete. I think that's going to be good. Being able to cultivate some local talent. And, we've pulled out of Laramie High School before with Frank Crum on the football team. So, yeah, it'll be good to have him aboard. And, hopefully, if he's not a contributor right away, he can sit and learn and, be a contributor in the near future and, stick around and do something good for Cowboy Hoops.
Sure.
Could use some stability there, I think.
Yep, and we'll talk about that some more tonight, and of course more as the spring goes on. But so 3 main topics for us to talk about this evening. That'd be wrestling, basketball transfer season, and then we'll wrap up the show with some news and notes so far from spring football. But we will start with the wrestling, and Shay couldn't make it, but Brad will be able to tell you what went down in Philadelphia at the NCAA tournament, and then kind of the after events of said tournament. So, Brad, give us the scoop on the state of the wrestling program and how they did.
Well, the Cowboys finished 22nd as a team. So, I think last year they were in the top 25, maybe. I'd have to go back and look, but another decent finish for a team that only took five guys, or had 5 guys compete, I guess. So, pretty respectable. They were definitely buoyed by Joey Novak. Joey went 6-2 in the tournament. And man, after his, I'm just looking back through his rounds here. And first round, he had a 8-1 decision. Then second round, he got to face off with his old teammate, Stephen Buchanan, and who tech-falled him in pretty quick fashion.
Yeah.
So, you could see a scenario where, getting tech-falled by your old teammate would probably put a huge damper in your attitude. But, Joey came back and won, 1, 2, 3, 4 matches in a row to keep himself alive and get into All-American status plus placing, or I guess that's implied. Yeah. But, and when it came down to the 3rd and 5th place, who gets to wrestle for 3rd and 5th, he went against AJ Ferrari, who he had a good match against Ferrari. Would have been awesome to see Novak get that win for his own personal benefit and because AJ Ferrari sucks as a person, I'm sure. Him and his organic underwear. So, but
you're not a fan, I've noticed from your comments on Twitter.
Never, ever.
Yeah.
Should have heard him whining after he lost to Stephen Buchanan. Jesus Christ. Green guy. But yeah, so ended up in the 5th place match and got a major decision over a wrestler from Little Rock. So capping your tournament with an 8-0 decision, that's fantastic. Just way to, keep grinding through the whole tournament and get yourself in a good position and, come out with to be an All-American. So that was really good for Joey. But yeah, he was the only All-American we had, and he really carried the team as far as collecting points goes. Eddie Knightenbach had a couple wins under his belt, coming into his first NCAA tournament. So I think that's encouraging for him too. He had a first period pin in there, so that was pretty sweet. But yeah, so I think it's a bright future for Eddie for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, Penn State ended up running away with the tournament again. So it was really a fight for second place between Iowa and Oklahoma State, and I think Nebraska too, actually.
I think Nebraska actually finished second.
Yeah, Nebraska put together one of their best teams they've had in, so many years.
Yeah, it's been a while for them.
Yep. So, but yeah, hopefully one of these days somebody will be able to knock Penn State off that pedestal.
So you're telling me like the Big Ten finished like 1, 2, 3, 4?
No, because Oklahoma State was in there.
Oh, okay.
So they broke up
like 3 of the top 4
up somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. The Big Ten is right. It's like the wrestling conference.
It's the wrestling banana belt, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you watch the finals of the tournament and saw the heavyweight match, and honestly, that was probably the most anticipated match of the entire finals round with Gable Steveson and Wyatt Hendrickson.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that match was electric from start to finish. I thought for sure that Steveson was going to just wipe them out with Hendrickson, but Wyatt pulled out that takedown, with 20 seconds left, something like that, and got a win. That was incredible to watch. Then Hendrickson went on to win Wrestler of the Year. So, but yeah, the NCAA saw its first 5-time champion too, with Carter Starace from Penn State, the only guy to win 5 national titles. So
yeah,
his teammates and former teammates were stumping for him to win that Wrestler of the Year. I think it's the Hodge Award. As the nation's best wrestler, but just knocking off Gable Steveson after the dominant year that he had across, every match he wrestled, definitely propelled Hendrickson into that spot. So, yep. Then conclusion of the season come around, and now we've got Jory Volk hit the transfer portal, and
and that's
going to
be a theme of tonight's show. We'll be talking portal with all 3 sports, unfortunately.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the big news.
Bummer to lose Jory Volk, former All-American, and had an unfortunate year this year with an injury that he just couldn't get back from, and took the year off to recover from that, and decided to head closer to home after the season was over. So back with the Gophers.
Okay, and then
too bad for the Cowboys, but
presumably he got a fair amount of money. But
I assume with Gable Steveson graduating, a little bit of money freed up in the NIL space. So I'm sure there was a little incentive for him to come back home.
Yeah,
which seems to be the theme of college athletics now, is everybody's got a price.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 19 years old, 20 years old, overlooking that kind of money is possibly foolish, possibly, definitely life-changing temporarily.
Sure. And I know I've kind of seen your conversations between yourself and Shay just about how the team is setting up for next year with the loss of Volk. I guess kind of a quick maybe minute on like how the Cowboys do you think they'll look and what they might be looking for in the portal themselves?
Yeah, I think they're going to be. I think they'll go out and maybe hunt for another 125. They've got Tucker Bowen and Jack Bramman out there, so I think they've got capable guys set to fill that void. But it is hard to replace an All-American, so it wouldn't surprise me if they hit the portal and maybe go try to find something. I don't know. There's a lot of wrestlers in the portal, just like there is basketball and football right now. So, but finding the right fit with the fitting the culture that Mark Branch has set is going to be important. And I think losing Volk was a bit of a surprise for them, for the coaching staff. So I think they'll be careful in who they bring in, and if they bring anybody in, they've got capable guys already. So, but I could see them going out and trying to find, they could go out and try to find a heavyweight too to replace Sam Mitchell. I could see that, but man, finding a heavyweight is, it's like finding a nose tackle in football, right? Like there's only so many of them, and there's only so many of them that are a value add to your team. So they could do that. They've got Kevin Zimmer on the roster. He saw a lot of action this year too. So he could be a very competent and capable replacement. So, they may just keep that weight in house and, fill it that way. So, but yeah, it's portal season. You just, you don't really know. And so I assume we'll see more, incoming or outgoing. We've got Gabe Willachell's brother coming in, I think. So, as a freshman. So I don't know. It's just so early right now. It's hard to tell, who's available and who's not. So.
Yep. So something to monitor for sure. So I would say, overall a great season. Hey, if you're going to finish in the top 25 in a sport, basically I would say there's no programs we have right now in Laramie that you could count on doing that. Wrestling can. So something we should be proud of.
Yeah. I mean, they've been a very steady and stable program for, a few years now. And, every year is a small improvement. So I don't see why you wouldn't come to Laramie to wrestle. And obviously we can find talent. Stephen won a national championship. So, we can definitely find these guys. So,
yep. All right. Very good. And that leads us into basketball, where the portal has been a big news, of course, mainly with exits, which is not surprising. And Brian couldn't make it tonight, but we'll have him on soon to talk big picture. But Wyoming in this past couple days they haven't announced anything, but the players have announced it, and it's been retweeted by Coach Wicks. We have 2 incoming players, and I do have some notes here from Brian.
Say we had one commit today, actually.
Exactly, our second one. So hold on here. Let me get Brian's notes up.
You just scroll through you guys' sarcastic text messages first.
Yep, there's a lot of trash talk in here first. That is right. Let's see. The first one was over the weekend, or was it? No, it was Monday.
It was
Monday.
Yeah, something like that.
It was Monday. I remember I was out on Monday and it came in. So Buddy Hammer, a JUCO from it's like Northeast Oklahoma A&M.
Great name.
And I was like, yes, the name is great. And it was preceded by a few days earlier, a Coach Wicks MC Hammer gif. And if you were like really deep into JUCO basketball, someone might have put that together, but nobody's that deep. That is not us, exactly. So Buddy Hammer,
barely filling the void of Division I basketball right now.
Yeah. So here we go. This is Brian's thoughts. Aggressive wing player that seems to prefer playing inside. attacks the rim both offense and defense. He's an elite rebounder at the Joko level, averaged a double-double last year with 13 points per game and 10 rebounds. I expect he will be a big contributor, says Brian. And it seems to me, I haven't watched his film, but it seems to me, and I think you're going to see this from pretty much everybody that we bring in from now on, is he's a big effort guy. And I think that's really what frustrated Coach Wicks a lot this season is he just wasn't seeing the effort and the hustle. And Brian thinks that this guy is like on both ends. He attacks the rim. He blocks shots. He's just an energy guy. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see from Coach Wicks as we fill out the numerous scholarships we have to fill.
Well, and, you look at the team last year, it was about this time last year when we were hiring Sundance?
Probably later.
Was it March, April, May?
I was going to look up the date to be exact.
It was some ridiculous date.
Yeah, really late.
Yeah.
In the cycle.
And we were putting together a team basically of, who wants to come to Laramie, right? And, we mined a little bit of talent there with Obi. But, yeah, it was, I feel like it was probably a little bit of, let's get some guys in here, let's make a team. And this year, it's going to be more of a thoughtful approach of we're going to build a team and build it, the right way.
Or the best you can, given the circumstances.
The best you can.
Yeah. They're in a lot better shape this year, for sure.
Yes, 100%.
So that was the first incoming, and I guess it was also announced that Agbem is going to go to Baylor, which is interesting. Obviously, they're in the tournament. They're, I don't know if they're in the top 25 every year, but they're in the conversation.
Good.
So that's a big step up. So, I mean, he's gone from JUCO to D2 to D1 to high-end D1 in successive years, which is pretty impressive.
I feel like we should get a comp pick for that.
I like it. I know. I've heard radio. I think that maybe could happen in the future.
I don't know how it would happen, but it feels like we should get a compensatory pick for that.
Some kind of compensation. Yep.
Yes.
That universities, maybe it'd be players or scholarship slots or NIL money from other schools. But I think that could happen actually in the future with all this craziness.
I did hear this. I was listening to Pardon My Take the other day, and I heard this hilarious thing where if a coach leaves they suggested that if a coach leaves for another school, that coach has to schedule an away game with the school he left and play them until he beats them. And I was thinking about it. I was like, well, we kind of did that with Jeff Linder, except for we were the away team, not the home team.
Yeah.
But that would have been equally as hilarious.
Yeah. And they would have wiped the floor with us no matter what.
So. Yeah, but at least it would have been in Laramie.
Yeah. True. All right, let's see here. Second one was announced today.
Mm-hmm.
And it lets me find
Demarion Davis.
Dennis. Yeah, Damaron Dennis? Or Demarion, probably.
Demarion Dennis.
Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Averaged 6.7 points a game. 1.9 rebounds and 1.3 assists. Brian dug into him here. Where is he? Played every game for Texas A&M this year as a freshman, starting 9 of them. Only had 18 turnovers the entire season. He says, good. Not a high-volume scorer, primarily a ball handler and facilitator, which we sorely need, especially with, A.J. Wills was the backup point guard behind Agbem. Mm-hmm. He left as well. So this guy is listed in everything I see as a combo guard, but it wouldn't surprise me if he only had 18 turnovers in the entire season, which very well may be your point guard next year.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, geez, how many times did we have 18 turnovers in the first 20 minutes?
I mean, we were averaging 20 turnovers a game at one point.
Yeah.
So a guy who only did 18 in the entire year.
That seems good.
That seems like a guy we probably need. Yep, for sure. So, 2 players, I don't know if he's a power forward hammer, kind of a tweener, small forward, power forward. type of guy, a forward, right? And the system we play now, right? It's forwards and guards, basically,
Mhm.
and then a guard. So we got one of each to go with the two guys who have stuck around so far, right? And Musa staying.
Yeah, geez, who was it? I gotta go back and look now.
AJ, right? I can't think of his name. He came from St. Louis University, the French kid who I think Magassa, that's his name.
Yes.
And
they haven't
then
updated the
Belich.
roster on GoYo yet, though.
Yeah, and then Belich as well is sticking around. I think those are the only two. Everybody else, Gonzo.
Yeah, just looking at the roster, there's so many faces just gone now.
Yeah. So there it is. Brian thinks we really won't have a full roster until the end of April at the earliest, and I think that seems about right. So there should be lots of movement in the next 4 weeks on the basketball front, as they still have plenty of scholarships to fill.
Yep. Yeah, there's geez, it just feels like we're not as bad off as like Fresno State and probably Colorado State here pretty soon, but turning over most of the roster.
Like 12, 13 guys every year. Yeah, and that's what they have to stop. We can't do this 4 years in a row. Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll get it settled down.
Yeah, Fresno State lost, I think, literally their entire team.
Yeah,
Colorado State probably on the way to that, I would assume. With Nico going to Minnesota. Wasn't there another team like on the East Coast that lost like every player too?
Yeah, there's a lot of them everywhere.
Yeah.
So the portal in basketball is more ridiculous than it is in football, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah, way worse. And what was it, like 1,400 basketball players like after the first like 2 days? Was that it?
And the portal's still open for another 3 weeks.
Yeah. And it's just so insane that they open the transfer portal window during the damn tournament.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing for the college football playoff. Like they had the portal open during college football playoff. It's like, what the hell are you people thinking?
Yeah.
Like, these guys know probably a month, 2 months, 3 months in advance if they're going to transfer. So, the whole like we need a huge window. It's like, what's the point? Because these guys probably know very quickly they're staying there going.
And in football, it makes some sense because you have you have to be enrolled.
Yeah,
but the next semester.
That
makes sense.
January?
But for basketball, you have the whole summer. So there's no.
Yeah.
I would imagine that after this, right, the portal won't open until after the Final Four is completed, I would hope.
Yep. I mean, opening it during the tournament is just so dumb.
Very dumb. So, yeah, we'll see, and we'll have Brian on soon. We'll talk bigger picture of basketball. We'll break down some of these players that we'll be bringing in. And so in that sense, it's exciting because I think now they have a plan. They know what they want. They know what they need. And as I said before, I think high energy, high character guys are what they're going to be looking for, right? Yep. We know what Sundance is, and we know what he wants. And so hopefully they can find that.
He wants juice.
All right. Last topic of tonight. We are smack dab in the middle of spring football, Brad.
Not thinking about football yet.
No, me too.
We're not even to second spring yet.
It doesn't feel right. That's for sure.
We're barely out of first winter. We're not quite to second spring.
And I think it's probably right because we didn't play in a bowl game, so the season was over like a while ago.
Yeah.
The season was terrible, as you all know, for multiple reasons. But we do have a lot of notes, so here we go. Chronological order here. I kind of wrote down like the big things that have happened since we've talked about football last.
Oof.
So you ready?
Go.
Ready to tackle this first one? And everybody, this is all old news, but we'll talk about it. We'll break it down. Savell mentioned that there would be somebody leaving for personal reasons to be closer to the family, and that ended up unfortunately being Rook Brown, who's one of the best players we have in our defense. He is out the door. He is in the portal, and he's getting tons of offers from everywhere.
player.
So we'll see where he lands. Now, hopefully he lands in Texas, because he was saying that it's been reported that he wants to be closer to his grandparents who are in Texas. So one would imagine that he's going to transfer to a school somewhere in Texas, but he is getting offers from West Coast schools, Midwest schools, East Coast schools, offers everywhere. So that is something to monitor there. And then pretty much a couple days after, you remember this guy named Donnell Kirkwood?
Yes.
Yes, he was hired as the running backs coach.
Had a cup of coffee.
From the University of North Dakota. And he announced that he was leaving on the very first day of spring football to join the coaching staff at Wazoo, who Wyoming beat, by the way.
We can't even be pissed at Jake Dickert anymore.
Do you know what happened at Wazoo to where that spot was open? That I never saw reported anywhere.
No. No, I don't actually.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway,
the coach didn't follow Dickert, right?
Is gone. Well, didn't Dickert get fired?
No, he went to Georgia Tech.
He left, yeah. So they have a new coaching staff there in Wazoo.
Yep. Couldn't even.
Oh yeah. So Wyoming has an open slot.
He didn't go to Georgia Tech.
No, that doesn't seem right.
Was it Wake Forest?
Wake Forest. That's it.
Yeah, Wake Forest.
He went to Wake Forest, which is crazy.
No, was it?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's Wake Forest.
Yeah, it is Wake Forest,
which is in Salem, North Carolina.
Sure, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Who's their? Well, so they have a running backs coach.
Where?
At Wake Forest. I was trying to piece together if the coach that was the reason the Washington State position was vacated was because they went to Wake Forest, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I don't.
However, there is some familiar names on this Wake Forest coaching staff.
I'm sure there are.
Pete Caligas, Scotty Hazelton, Adam Pillapil.
There you go.
Yeah,
he left the Sheep to go there, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So good for him, finally getting out of Fort Collins. So yeah, so Wyoming isn't going to fill that spot now, right? They're going to have to wait till after spring football. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't get filled until like June or July, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're kind of in a tough spot there, and I'm sure they got some grad assistants working that room right now.
Man, what a crappy thing to do, though.
It is a crappy thing. First day of spring ball
in what, like January? He got hired in January, right? Something like that, maybe February. And pieced out, and like it's not like Wazoo's an upgrade.
Not that much.
No,
no. I mean, it is the Pac whatever, right? I mean, it's very prestigious. So I hear
there's 7 of them.
The Pac 7. Okay, is that what we're going to call them now? As a jab?
I think we have no choice.
The Pac, not a real conference.
Definitely not a real conference. Not a football conference. Maybe they'll get lucky and land the lucrative Sacramento State Hornets.
Maybe, who just announced that they are going D or FBS.
Independent
FBS, yes, on their own. Which leads me to believe that they'll be in the Pac-12 or the Pac-7, sorry, or the Mountain West sometime soon. Would be my guess.
Maybe. We already took on UC Davis. No need to take on Sacramento State too.
Well, that's probably going to happen too, I do believe. I think you'll probably hear that after next football playoff, right? Because it's the playoff thing. Because
hear what?
They can't announce that they're going to join the conference in football because then they'd be barred from the FCS playoffs.
Yeah, they already announced it.
What?
UC Davis. I think they've already been officially announced as a member of the Mountain West.
In all sports but football.
Yes, that's right.
Yep. So that's what I'm saying. The football is coming, I do believe, once they clear the playoffs.
Yep, they'd be smart.
Yeah. So we'll see. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm sure there's the 2 big podcasts that just bash you over the head with nothing but realignment, and I'm over it. I don't really care at this point in time.
We have portal problems to worry about.
Yes, the portal is much more important at this point in time. And speaking of the portal, Wyoming has 19 new players on the spring roster who practice for the first time now. 16 of those are transfers out of the portal. Sounds like a lot of them are doing pretty well. And then 3 true freshmen who enrolled early as well.
Oh.
And of those 3, I don't know the third one. I should have looked it up. But 2 of them, one is Drube out of Gillette.
Mm-hmm.
And then the wide receiver out of Texas, I do believe, DeBlanc. And we're getting a lot of hype from these 2. And I'm just going to say, media, stop it. We don't need to be hyping up true freshmen because A, there's a very good chance they won't step on the field. And B, there's a very good chance in 1 or 2 years they'll be gone before they step on the field. So let's not hype up freshmen anymore. Please. Is this the future of Wyoming football? I'm like, probably not, because in 2 years they might not even be here. It's a year-to-year sport. And if you're good enough to play as a true freshman, then you need to play. If you're redshirting people in this day and age of the portal, you're insane.
Yeah.
Use your players while you have them. So
yep, completely agree. That this might be a bad take on my part.
Yeah,
maybe not. I don't know.
Let's hear it.
But I don't really get excited about football signing day.
No, not anymore.
Like, people are, and this has been the case since, forever, but, people get really excited about signing day. Like, oh my God, look at all these new recruits we're signing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, let's look at it this way. You sign, say, 25 guys, you're bringing in about 25 guys a year, right?
Yep.
Of those 25, and this is before transfer portal days, of those 25, 15 of them probably washed out, medical injury, not, they're just not good enough to play college football at, whatever level they've been recruited at. Any number of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you bring in that 25, say they all redshirt, you get to senior day, 5 years later, and 10 of them are left, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so, you force fed us, clip after clip after clip and huddle highlights and blah, blah, blah of like all these players. And 5 years later, there's now 7 to 10 of you. So I don't really get excited about it. And now that the transfer portal is here, that number is even smaller. We're probably going to be looking at a senior class that was here day one as a freshman through their redshirt senior year or senior year, depending on, however things worked out in your career. We're looking probably 5, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you've been watching the NCAA tournament, I think of the, Elite 8 teams, there was like maybe less than 5 players that were recruited by the team they were currently playing on.
Yeah.
Of all the rosters of all the Elite 8, there was like a very small fraction of players that, had been start to finish with the school that, they were of the starting 5. I should say the starting 5.
Yeah.
Of those teams. So it's like, it's just hard to get excited about, things like signing day and this freshman is outstanding and they were blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, cool. Well, give me 3 years. We'll see if they're still here.
Yeah. So it does make it hard for the fans. It's got to make it hard for the coaches. But if a guy's good enough to play, you got to play him. You got to find a way to get him on the field. Because if not, he's probably going to leave. So you just as well use him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't redshirt and develop a guy for another school to have the advantage of using the best years of them.
Well, and, when Craig Bull was here, he kind of always took a little bit of pride in the fact that he considered Wyoming a development school.
Yeah.
Where he developed the players and, he would develop them into professionals.
Yeah.
And nowadays we're developing players to be recruited by another college football team.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think the mindset on that is probably going to change, but probably not for the better.
We'll see. Yeah. I mean, whoever of the I guess, the group of 5 schools who can figure out how to navigate this the best, they're going to be really good for a long time until
Well,
the other
and
schools can figure it out. And I don't know who those schools are going to be. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Wyoming because I don't think we're forward thinking enough in anything.
I don't think, even though they're not a or even though they're not a group of 5 school, I think Kenny Dillingham over at Arizona State, I think he's probably got the best approach to it, I would think.
Sure, and
I think
Savell
he's
kind of took that approach.
Yeah,
And
I
he
think
said it by
Dillingham's
name.
probably got the best,
Yeah.
metaphor, kind of the best, plan for it. So,
So yeah, we'll see.
it'll be that model.
That's what Wyoming has done, right? They brought in a bunch of no-name guys from no-name schools who are taking a step up instead of bringing in guys from Power Fives who are taking a step down. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah,
I hope it works.
Just the Obi Agwin example, like holy smokes, like
Yeah,
it's tough to fault him for leaving for Baylor, but holy smokes, just what a career, what a career ladder he's climbed.
yeah. All right, more football stuff. Practices have been very hard hitting. When they've been in pads, they're going full contact. They're smacking the crap out of each other because of how they played last season, with a lot of close losses. Savell said that they're going to hit more than they have in his time that they've been at Wyoming, and that includes a few years under Coach Bull. So that means they're going to be smacking each other around.
Those were hard hitting teams under Bull. I think I remember the quote. Some Texas defensive lineman they were interviewing, kind of pre-draft, and they were like, who is the offensive line that gave you the most trouble? And he said the Wyoming offensive line just wore his ass out.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think getting back to that kind of attitude and mentality, offense and defense, would be a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. So that's what they're doing. And we'll see how that goes. And speaking of hard hitting, one of the big news, and I'm very happy to see this because this is a guy we talked about a few times on the show during the football season, is tight end Justin Erb. Walk-on tight end, has been given a scholarship. And if you want to talk about hard hitting, that guy, you look him up in the tight end dictionary, he's the poster child for that. This guy just is a road grader in blocking and playing physical football. So I'm very glad that he got a scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I read an article from Cody Tucker today about Evans Svoboda's conversion to tight end and how that's been going. And I think he'll be a little bit of a weapon in the pass catching game, just based on, Cody's interview there. But if he can figure out the physical part of it, man, it'd be nice to have a couple of road graders out there on the edge.
Yeah, I don't think blocking is going to be something he's going to do.
He's got the body for it.
Does he? Again, so we've talked about this. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I'd be pretty shocked if he turned in to be a good tight end. I just don't think they say he's athletic, but I don't think he really is. He's a straight line runner. As you saw with him, he took a ton of sacks. If you're that athletic, you don't take a ton of sacks. But once he gets moving in a straight line, yes, nobody's going to catch you. But he can't cut. So unless they're going to just run him deep on, just straight routes, seam routes, just down the middle.
Honestly, that would be awesome.
It would be, but he's not going to be a guy who's going to go over the middle and catch a ball, 5 yards and then outrun the defense and make people miss. It's not going to happen. He's too stiff.
I hope we're pleasantly surprised.
So we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I know
honestly,
you guys,
we're going to need all the pass catchers we can get.
I think of the WyoNation group, I'm the only one who's like, I'd be shocked if he's a good tight end because he can't block.
Have a devil's advocate in the group.
No, I mean, I firmly believe this. I've seen it with other quarterbacks who get moved to tight end. He's not athletic. He's an athlete, but he's not athletic, if that makes sense, right? He doesn't have the hips. He can't move. But straight line, sure. You get him in a straight line and he could run downhill. They should move him to running back, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what Montana State did with Sean Chambers. Put him at running back and let him run downhill.
Exactly. So we'll see. I mean, as I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he becomes a weapon. But as I said, I would be floored if he was anything useful as a tight end all around. I mean, he may catch a few passes here and there, but I don't think he's going to be a weapon of any sorts. Because, A, you have to be able to block if you want to play physical football. And if he's out there, you're going to know that there's a 90% chance that it's going to be a passing play. And you can't have tight ends who oh, this guy's in. There's no way they're running the ball.
I was going to say, isn't that what Atlanta does with Kyle Pitts?
Yeah. I mean, you can see tons of examples of that, right, in the NFL and college of tight ends like that. Sure. So I don't know. I'd like to get other people's thoughts. I see you guys watching. If you're in the chat on YouTube here, let us know. What do you think? As I said, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it working. All right, let's see here. We got more.
Oh, geez, there's still a list.
Yeah, man. This football is great. We got lots of stuff. All right. Kicking news. It sounds like we have a early leader in the clubhouse to take over for my boy, #RedShoeMan, John Hoyland. And that is going to be another Colorado kicker. So maybe they can get him like some green shoes or something, and he can be Green Shoe Man. I don't know. Ooh. Oh, green wouldn't be good, obviously. I was thinking more like in my head, like a lime green. We don't want to do like green for obvious reasons.
I know you really dig your green license plates, Chad, but come on.
But Eric Sandvik of Steamboat, Colorado seems to be the leader in the clubhouse to be the place kicker, and he's been doing some punting too. It's been reported. I don't know that battle. I think we'll get a transfer punter in for sure after spring, and maybe a kicker, right? I don't know about going to a freshman kicker. That makes me very, very, very nervous. But yeah, Eric Sandvik has been impressing in spring drill so far. Do you have any thoughts? Have you heard anything else?
No, but the kicking competition isn't usually one I keep a pretty close eye on. So
okay, well, I do, because
they're important.
Wyoming, the two positions we should never have to worry about are kicker and punter, because you don't have to sell them. Come kick at 7,000 feet, where you'll kick the crap out of the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it helped Hoyland tremendously.
You should be able to get 20 kickers to win a come to kick in Laramie.
Yeah.
You got to deal with the win, I know, but
makes you a better kicker.
It does. Adjusting for your win. The NFL. You could kick in Laramie. You could kick anywhere.
In the NFL, you might have to kick the ball straight, though.
True.
Not used to that Laramie where you gotta play the wind.
All right. Other thing was Salvel mentioned a few days ago that the offense is actually ahead of the defense because of just due to the vast number of new players that they're having to break in on defense. That gives me a little cause for concern too.
It's extremely rare in spring ball to have the offense ahead of the defense. And
there are some quotes from Aaron Bowl, and I'm still pretty sketch about him. I think he's in can we admit anybody who can talk freely like I can? Aaron Bowl is right on the clock, right? He's on the hot seat. Like we can't be a developmental program for coaches. Not at the coordinator level anyway. If he wants to, heck of a linebackers coach, but last year he proved to be a terrible defensive coordinator, and you can say that it was injuries. Okay. So I'm willing to give him another year, but we have to see massive improvement from the defense.
I think it's going to be hot seat for sure.
Especially when you have a defensive coach, right, who was the DC. I mean, it's unacceptable the way the defense played last year. Completely unacceptable.
The way that college football is now, head coaches are given about a 3-year leash to get it right or get out. Fair or not, that's just what it is now. You know, roster reconstruction every year be damned. So yeah, college football is essentially a win now sport, uh, and buyouts don't seem to matter anymore, head coach or not. So yeah, defense needs vast improvement this year.
So we'll see. They brought in a lot of guys who seem to have some talent. So it may be kind of a slow start, but we'll see. I'll be very interested to see what the post-spring depth chart looks like if they release one. I'm not even sure if they will. I would hope they did. Give us something to talk about and give us, some targets. But I hope they publicly release one because, again, there's not going to be a spring game, right? I'm
It's a
pretty
good
sure
question.
we're one of the schools that announced that, we're not doing a spring game
Yeah, I know they were.
because of the roster limits. And it seems to be like half and half throughout the country.
Well, Colorado was trying to get a spring game against Syracuse, and that didn't work. So
Yeah, and that could be the future, maybe if they get that. But again, it's not worth getting guys injured. So that is the other good news I'll say is no injuries so far until today. There were two. The second guy I can't remember, but one of our transfer defensive ends, I want to say, Isaiah Bogar, he has a wrist injury and he'll be out for the rest of the spring. It didn't say
he was
really the nature of it.
say Bogar was a addition to the defense very recently too.
Correct. Yeah, he's one of the transfers
Yep,
from a
came
JUCO,
from
and he
Riverside
looks like a
Community
pretty
College.
good prospect. But
Yep.
he hurt his wrist, unfortunately, so he's out for the rest of spring. We'll get more information on that. And there was another guy who I think had a knee injury, but it's not season ending. He'll be back too, it sounds like, well, I don't know. They didn't say. It just said not season ending, whatever that means.
Yeah, I
Jared's in
see.
the house. There is a spring game after the portal closes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking for it on the site. I see that there's a youth clinic on April 5th following the practice this weekend. So
Yeah,
you
they're
got
doing
your
some
kids,
youth
bring them out
clinics.
to the clinic and
A lot of
the
those.
practice.
Let's see here. So yeah, so that is what is going on in the land of football. And we'll see just how things progress. The good news, right, is everything's been open to the media. So we're getting good reports for the first time and ever out of spring ball.
Yeah, that rocks.
Which is great, right? I want to know what happens, but just stop the hype. That's, as I said, I don't want to hear about freshmen because what did we hear about all last year and all last summer? Krister, and then they don't use them until like the very end of the season. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yep.
What are we doing here? Stop hyping people up and then not playing them. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
So here, no, it's good. Let's see. Do we have some more chats? Oh, no, just one. We do like a ghost chat. Sometimes they pop up that we have chats and then they're not there. So, yeah. So thank you, everybody. I think that will be what we have for tonight. Good to talk about all three of the Wyoming sports that have been newsworthy of late.
Did you and Brian cover Daniel Reynolds winning a national championship?
No, we did not.
Oh, geez. We had another Cowboy national champion in indoor track and field.
That's true. I mean, indoor track is a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
And he threw that hammer a friggin' long ways.
The hammer indoors.
Yeah.
Like
what was
into
it?
a net?
No.
No.
The hammers don't go that far.
Oh, they don't? Okay.
Well, not far enough to like throw through a building or anything.
All right. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
Had like the second longest throw in NCAA history or something like that. Just some ridiculous number.
Okay. And is he just as good outdoor, I would imagine?
I don't know, because I don't really follow track and field that close, but I would hope so. I mean, he was really good indoors, and having a national championship or a national champion at Laramie is pretty sweet. So
it is. We don't get him very often, of course.
No. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was like track and field athlete, or what was he? The NCAA track and field athlete of the year.
Really?
Yeah,
As
I
a
think that
thrower?
was. Yeah, I think I
That's
saw
pretty
that.
impressive.
I'm almost positive I saw that come through my email like last
Okay, that's
week.
pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Because usually, right, it goes to sprinters or distance runners or jumpers. One of
but
those
no,
three.
no, we got a thrower, and he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like just watching people throw. Like I don't know how. Or he was Mountain West Indoor Athlete of the Year. I think he's up
Oh,
for
okay, not
NCAA.
NCAA.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but still conference thrower of the year. That's good.
Or no, he was named USTFCCCA, which is the governing body of indoor track
Okay.
or track and field. Yeah, National Field Athlete of the Year. So
Okay.
field athlete, not track athlete.
Gotcha. So there's probably two different ones. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But watching people throw the hammer, like, and especially somebody his size, like, I don't get how that happens. Like, just the like movement of that sport, I don't understand like how you like wheel your body around like that and then make it go straight or not hit yourself. So
Sure. I understand the coordination, the footwork, and then like the balance and
like stay on your feet.
the sense of balance, yeah, and everything.
Yeah. Like I would 100% of the time hit myself with that hammer or fall down or both.
Well, there's a reason why you're not a thrower.
I know, that's why I'm a podcaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I'm trying to just look through the press releases they sent us, and I don't even see a practice schedule for football.
Yeah, we got some in our email like a few weeks ago.
Okay, I'll double check it. We'll find it some more. Yeah, Reynolds. Do we know where this Reynolds guy's from?
Oh, geez. Offhand, no.
Daniel Reynolds. I think I think I want to say he's from like Arizona. That's just a guess. I don't know.
Whoa. I just noticed this too, but Allison Ferdig is a thrower on the track team too.
Okay. Let me just type this in really quick.
I think there's a lot of like of these athletes that kind of do two sports like this, but he's from Granby, Colorado.
Granby. Oh, okay. Wow.
Down in your hood, isn't it?
That's in the mountains. Is old Granby. All right. So, okay. No, I'm glad that you highlighted that.
It's important.
It is. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. Good to catch up. I would imagine, as I said, we'll have more football news as spring football winds down. Well, let's hope that we don't have any injuries, right? That's just the big thing. And then we'll be watching the basketball portal for the incomings, of course. And we'll be kind of piecing that together to see. Hopefully, they can find somebody who's established, right, at scoring, because that's where we had our problem.
Mm-hmm.
We had basically Obi was our only scorer, and he was a D2 guy.
Pretty good D2 guy, but
yeah, obviously. So obviously, we need to probably bring in probably 2 or 3 guys who can score to give ourselves a chance.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it sounds like there's a lot of guys in the portal.
There's
and
a crap ton of players to choose from.
Not all of them will find homes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, plenty out there for Sonny to go and choose from, and and hopefully he can find players that fit Laramie and fit his team and improve upon what they did last year.
There we go. Well said. So we're going to head out. Thank you, everybody, as always. And we'll be back soon as the news continues to flow. So everybody have a good night, and we'll catch you all later.